Warhammer Fantasy. It's one of those games where I grew up looking at it, realizing that I can't afford this and 40k, which I was really into, until I got into around college university age, and then really took off. So suffice it to say, when the old world was announced, I was pretty excited. I was like, hey, let's get some games out. And I did manage to get a number of games with my old Empire army. Played, I think, about 7 to 8 games. And then everything kind of dried out. I realized that players were not playing games regularly. I realized also that the chat group involving the old world barely had any chatter in it. So I realized, okay, we're going to need to do something about it. And people always say, we can either complain about not having a community or we can try to start one. So that's basically what I did. I started a slow grow league, and we're hoping to get people to, of course, paint their armies, play their armies, and start talking more about it. Talking more not just amongst ourselves, but hopefully talking more with all of the different fantasy gamers out there, people who play other games. But I wanted something that's casual. I think one of the main things that people always do when they're trying to build a community is run tournaments, which are great and fun and fantastic, but maybe perhaps let's try something a little bit different. So I sent out a call. I put up a rubric and I asked players like, hey, would you like to come and play some old world? The rubric is fairly simple, again along the lines of getting people to essentially start painting, playing, and sharing about their experiences in the game. I figured that the Slow Grow League would work best over a 4-month period, and throughout the period people will be painting, people will be playing, and people will be talking about what they're doing. So for the hobby aspects, all I'm asking players to do is to paint all the various different types of regiments as you can see on your screen. You'll realize that I do not specify whether or not these need to be minimum regiments or maximum regiments. The goal here is not to be draconian about getting everyone to fully painted, or rather 2000 points fully painted within 4 months. The goal here is just to get people to paint. That's essentially it, and hopefully if people get like 1000 points done by the end of the 4 months, I think that is going to be pretty good. 1000 points fully painted. Of course, if people want to paint 2000 points, if people want to paint 3000 points, they are more than welcome to do so. So the reason I lumped some of these categories together is because some factions, for example dwarves, do not have behemoths, but what they do have are war machines and monstrous cav. Whereas some factions, like one of my Chaos Dwarf players, we realized that it's not so straightforward for him to score points simply because he's actually relying on his collection of vintage Chaos Dwarfs and he doesn't have the full kind of repertoire of Chaos Dwarf models available to him, and that's fine. Besides that, I believe a major attraction of Warhammer Fantasy and by extension the old world has always been the concept of being able to write lore for our own units. So I made sure to put a little bit of points in that so that people can make stories as they go along. For gaming, I've divided it into 4 main categories. The idea is that every month, players will increase their army by 500 points. This serves several purposes. Number 1, the game system is really complex, and it's a good idea therefore for people to slowly play and slowly get accustomed to the game rules as time goes on. And you'll notice that I'm only awarding points early on for playing a game. Winning and losing doesn't matter at all for the starting part because ultimately this aspect of it is not truly a tournament. And the second reason I put these limits down is because I realized that if I didn't, some people are going to play 2000 points immediately, and that's going to be a little bit difficult because not everyone has 2000 points lying around. I know for a fact one of the players told me that they might not be able to even get 1000 points immediately, but throughout the duration of 4 months, then they would be able to afford it. And that's kind of why I'm slowly ramping it up as time goes on. Of course, once we reach the 1500 point upwards, then it becomes a little bit of a question of, okay, you are playing, let's try to win some. And therefore players do get a little bit of points for winning games as well, starting from the 3rd month onward. Now, sharing aspect is something that I'm asking a little bit more from players. I'm asking players to essentially post a report. This can be posted anywhere. It can be posted in any of our gaming chat groups locally or shared directly with myself so that I can share monthly updates. The reason for this, even though it's frankly a little bit onerous, it's going to take a little bit of photography and writing up from the players, it's simply because I think for people to be truly interested in the game, people need to see the games being played, people need to hear the games being played, people need to see the kind of craziness that you can experience in a, you could argue, more classical system like the old world. And because I'm aware that this requires a fair bit of effort, players are truly incentivized through being given more points for it, because I am asking them to go out of the way. It's not something involving painting, not something involving playing the game, but it is an after report, and that can be fairly challenging to write up. So this is kind of how we track points. Every individual player will get a Google spreadsheet like this, which details the rubric as mentioned earlier on. And players, like in this case, the player has already put in what they're planning to paint. They put in links to their before and after photos. And same thing's going to happen for everything. The reports, all the various painting achievements, the lore achievements, and of course just records of the games as well. The records of the games, the playing part, they do not need to, of course, share any URLs, but they simply need to specify who that they play against so that we can at least keep track of their progress.
So special thanks to Richard from Far East Wargaming. He reached out and was like, hey, if you need help with the rubric, I'm here to help you out. And this is basically his effort. I'm much appreciative of it. So therefore, if you'd like to hear especially about Horus Heresy games, please do check out his channel. Links are in the description down below. When running an event like this, prize support is really important because you need a way to keep people motivated, especially since over the period of 4 months, surely all of us will be tempted to play other games. We'll get distracted by other things around us. So I reached out to local game shops that I'm close to, Frontline Games as well as Plastics and Tactics, and both of them immediately jumped in and said yes. So very much thanks to both of them for supporting this event. The prizes are as you see on the screen, and really it's not so much about the financial value of the prizes, but simply the knowledge that there is potentially something waiting at the end, even if it's just a certificate. To kind of sweeten the deal a little bit, I mentioned in the first place that I will paint model for the winner. I actually kind of offered that because I thought I would get like 8 people playing. Not sure if that's a bonus or a detraction at this stage, but you know, it's part of the prize. Up to them, up to the winner whether or not they want it or not. So what I'm pleased to say is that through this, we currently have 21 players signed up for the league. Hopefully everyone would be able to see through all 4 months of the event. You can see the spread of factions down here, with the 3 biggest factions unsurprisingly being Warriors of Chaos, which were just announced, as well as Dwarves and Britonia, kind of leaning into the heavily armored elite melee sort of armies, I guess. Dwarves are shooting, but I'm not sure how many of them are going to be doing shooting this. Whatever the case, we have a fairly diverse spread. The main things to note are that we don't have any Dark Elf, Ogre, or Tomb Kings players, surprisingly. I guess because the 3 main local Tomb Kings players are not playing Tomb Kings, just as I, an Empire player, am not playing Empire because I want to use this as a chance to paint up my piece of chaos. And that's another use for this event. For those of us who are committed at playing the game, maybe perhaps it's a chance for us to finally go do one of our side projects. I look forward to the outcome of the league. I'll be updating every month. Hopefully I have enough time to go through everyone's painted miniatures, the reports, hoping to do a deep dive of sort into how everyone is progressing, but we'll see how that goes. So that's basically it for now. Thank you all.